How much can a 21-year-old superhero bear before he finally cracks under pressure? Especially one who's lost almost everyone and everything he's ever loved, and yet chooses to protect a city that doesn't even remember who he is. Thankfully, Brand New Day returns us to a New York whose residents are no longer openly hostile to Spider-Man after Mysterio's dying revelation of his identity and the murder accusation that followed. But the city is nice only to Peter's masked persona. Once the mask comes off, Peter is known to nobody. The city loves Spider-Man, but it has forgotten Peter Parker. And herein lies his tragedy. Peter had Dr. Strange cast a spell that erased everyone's memory of him in order to save the world from a terrible state of cosmic instability. All that marvelous magic has left Peter alone. He lives an isolated life in a rundown apartment with no May to guide him and no MJ whom he loved and with whom he hoped to spend the rest of his life. He watches MJ and Ned, his best friend, from a distance, following their social media updates of their lives at MIT as his heart aches for their companionship. What stops him from revealing who he is to them? The answer is the same force that has governed his life ever since Tony Stark first recruited him: responsibility. He's willing to burn in slow agony because he thinks the alternative will put the lives of his loved ones in danger. But loneliness isn't the only thing that's changing Peter. His body is changing too. Headaches, heightened sensitivity, and the ability to spin organic webs all tell him that the spider within him is growing stronger. Interestingly, Peter and Bruce Banner, who makes an appearance in the movie, are wrestling with remarkably similar dilemmas. Neither is entirely comfortable with what is happening to them. Banner has spent decades trying to suppress the Hulk, calling upon him only when circumstances leave him with no other choice. Peter too spends most of the film resisting the spider within him, viewing these changes as almost a disease and treating his evolving abilities as something to be feared rather than embraced. In the end, both are forced to confront the same uncomfortable truth. These identities cannot be simply wished away. They must learn to live with them. So the film quietly suggests that Peter is fighting two battles at once, one against the city's newest threat and another against a part of himself that he desperately wishes to disappear. Which brings us to Spider-Man's nemesis. His latest adversary possesses telekinetic abilities and can bend others to their will. Beyond that, the less you know before walking into the theater, the better. What matters more than the villain's superpowers, however, is Peter's response to them. Even while grappling with grief, crushing loneliness, and unsettling changes within his own body, he refuses to let fear or anger dictate his actions. Like the best Spider-Man stories before it, Brand New Day reminds us that Peter's biggest strength isn't his agility or his web shooters. It's his empathy and, as I mentioned earlier, his deep, immovable sense of responsibility. In fact, how he treats himself, his friends, and his enemies is one of the themes that persists in all MCU Spider-Man movies. As a fan of the character and the stories woven around him, you kind of look forward to encountering these themes and feel rewarded when you see them play out. Peter's sense of alienation, his awkwardness, his hopes, his fears, his selfless desire to help other people, and even his sense of humor in all but the most dangerous situations. You know you will experience all that even before you book your movie tickets. In some ways, a lot of what unfolds before you in the movie is like a pleasantly familiar journey. It's like revisiting a favorite place whose every corner you already know. But sometimes, to some of us, this predictability makes the film a tad less enjoyable. I, for one, was able to foresee multiple critical plot developments well before they occurred. It wasn't the destination that felt predictable. Spider-Man stories have always been built around compassion, sacrifice, and difficult moral choices. It was the route the screenplay took to reach those moments that occasionally felt too familiar. Whether or not you enjoy this thematic and narrative predictability, you're sure to love how the movie fulfills expectations that fans have of Marvel movies. One of them is, of course, the cameos played by beloved Marvel characters. The audience in my hall clapped when Bruce Banner made his entry and erupted in joy when his superhuman alter ego Hulk pummeled poor Spidey with a rage he was physically incapable of keeping in check. I mean, this was alright because we were all comfortable in our shared knowledge that our hero, bruised and battered that he might be, would eventually recover from this onslaught, and good old Hulk would never actually snuff the life out of him. You also meet Frank Castle, the Punisher, who plays a family-friendly, non-threatening elder brotherly role, and then Then there is Yelena Belova in a small but delightfully witty appearance. The action sequences are urgent, gripping, and tightly constructed. Spider-Man runs, jumps, and swings with confidence, and every sequence pushes the story forward. And although his battles leave buildings crumbling and bridges collapsing, this PG-13 film is careful to ensure that, despite the large-scale destruction, innocent bystanders emerge miraculously unharmed. It is all hugely entertaining, but the standout visual for me was the way the film depicts ordinary New Yorkers falling under the villain's influence. Watching an unsuspecting city turn into an extension of a single mind makes for some of the film's most inventive and unsettling action. As far as performances go, Tom Holland looks like he was born to play this role. He's been Spider-Man for so long that he no longer seems to be performing the character, he simply inhabits him. Whether Peter is quietly mourning the life he lost, or joking his way through danger, or trying to reason with someone who's trying to kill him, Holland makes those emotional shifts feel effortless. The supporting cast slips comfortably back into familiar roles. Zendaya continues to bring warmth and a quiet emotional grounding to MJ, Jacob Batalon remains super likable as Ned, and the returning Marvel characters make the most of their limited screen time without overshadowing Peter's story. Overall, Brand New Day succeeds far more than it stumbles. My only reservation, apart from its sometimes predictable storytelling, is that at 2 hours 25 minutes, it outstays its welcome by 15 minutes. The humor, the emotional weight, and the action keeps the film engaging throughout, but there are moments that a scene lingers longer than it needs to, or a conversation could have been tighter. Coming back to the question that I started with, how much can a superhero bear before he finally says no more? Turns out, if the superhero is Spider-Man, a lot and then some. The wide-eyed teenager who was eager to prove himself to his mentor Tony Stark in his first MCU outing has come a long way. You see, every time he matures, he loses something. He loses Tony, he loses May, he loses MJ and Ned, he loses his identity. And now he may even lose a part of his humanity. And despite all these losses, he keeps choosing to be Spider-Man. What makes Peter Parker compelling isn't that he always wins. He's not the MCU's strongest hero, nor its most physically imposing. It's that every film seems to give him another reason to stop being Spider-Man, and every film ends with him choosing otherwise. That's what sets him apart. Not his strength or agility, but his unwavering sense of responsibility and empathy even towards those who've wronged him. And it is what perhaps makes him one of the most endearing and inspiring Marvel hero. Have you watched Brand New Day yet? If yes, how did you like it? Do leave your response in the comment box below. And if you liked this review, you can follow me for more. Until we meet again, goodbye.